Hey y'all, it's Stephen Van Kampen-Lewis, and today I want to do a quick update on my indoor orchid cabinet, which of course is an IKEA Rudsta, Rudsta, and it's got lights from Carnivoro, which is a carnivorous plant nursery in Dripping Springs, which is just north of me. It's kind of in Southwest Austin area, and I want to show, my rupiculus cattleyas that I imported from Brazil in late 2024, and then also again in early 2025, as well as some other cool things, including a Tumnia and a bulbophyllum that I've attached to a porcelain vase that sort of bleeds out water or oozes out water slowly over time. And it's about to bloom. So it's sort of a proof of concept. And so also you can see behind me, well, you see this orchid cabinet with plants. And then this one I just set up yesterday. And so that's going to be turned into, I guess I'm going to call it my sort of finicky Cattleya cabinet, where I'm going to have species like Dowiana, Rex, Varsavixii, and some of their hybrids all living inside, so that their sort of temperamental needs can be more carefully regulated than what I can give them outside during the Texas summer or inside my garage during the Texas winter. Anyway, let's get the camera turned around and I will show you some orchids. Okay, so you can see this particular cabinet is split into two levels, so I have to have some fairly small plants, whereas this one will be a single level. So taller statured cattleyas will be welcome in there, as you can imagine. For this one, let's start on the top level, and you can mostly see some rupiculus cattleyas. Those are the ones that I imported from Brazil, and they are doing really nicely, actually. I don't have any blooming quite yet, but you can see there's plenty of roots on a lot of these, and of course I have them in clay pots with mostly sand, maybe about 5 to 10% peat mixed in. And then I have also this Varsavixii here, and this is a Cerulean, and this will go into the other cabinet. So there's a couple plants like that are large and are in that sort of group that will get booted over there, which will free up more space for these sort of smaller statured plants. You can see I have Ketiana and Gillany over here, another Ketiana. This is Bradii here. Angereri. Angereri is actually the only one that's it's doing okay for me, but you can see it's got some shriveled bulbs and leaves there. But you can see a new growth just starting down there. So I'm hoping that as that new growth puts out new roots, it will give the roots necessary for the plant to do really well. I've got a Milleri right here, and then Itambana. I think I've got a couple of those. Esqualiana back there, and this is Lelia or Cattleya synchorana, which is not a rupiculus, but it is of that sort of same size and from a similar area of Brazil, where a lot of these rupiculus ones are growing. I've also got a denticulatum that decided to rot on me. I think I'm pretty much done with denticulatum. It's just such a pain in the butt to grow under my conditions. So if this one dies, then I'm done with them. But it rotted over winter while it was dry, and then so I've got it here. It's doing nicely. It's got roots going down into the media. This is actually one of my favorites. This is a Black Knight, and this is one that I thought I had lost. For whatever reason, it didn't do well a year or two ago, and as I was throwing the plant away, literally, I was pulling it out of its pot, and there was this little tiny growth buried in the roots, because catasetums can actually put out entirely new plants from their roots. And this little thing was attached there, and it's growing again. So it grew for me last year. It's got a new growth. It's behind schedule, but I'm really excited for that one to come back, because it is one of my favorites. My first Tumnia that I've grown in a cabinet. I really haven't done much with Tumnias ever. This is Hennekenii, and it's a really strange one. And I'll show a photo here. And I got this from a friend, Sean Horgan, in Florida. And he had a bunch that he grew out from flask and then sold. And this is my first bloom that I've seen. So it's got 3 spikes and just these weird, bizarre flowers. And what I'll do is I'll take a photo and so zoom in on it so you can see a little better what this thing looks like. But it's got these strangely long inflorescences, although I know some Tumnias can have much, much longer inflorescences. And it's got this really cool growth habit, lots of roots, kind of serrated, almost folded over leaves on itself so that it can actually take fairly xeric conditions. And I'm actually going through this bunch of plants and realizing that it is definitely time for watering. And there's a close-up of the flowers, and they seem to bloom sequentially, and they've just been blooming. Each flower lasts, I don't know, a week or 2 maybe. But what they do is they start out as these buds and they unfurl slowly, and then they turn into these strange flowers that look probably a lot like bees. And so there's going to be some sort of pollination mechanism that includes bees. And then down here is a real big Cattleya. This one moves around a lot. And then I've got my 2 are taller statured Rupiculus Cattleyas here. This is a Teretacalis, and so that'll have a longer spike and have a little more space in this shelf. This one is Mixta. This is a division of an awarded clone from a friend, Cecily. So she had some extra pieces and I bought one, and it seems to be doing pretty nicely. This one here is about to erupt from its sheath. This is Rex biluteola, which of course gives Cattleya blossfeldiana. And here's a photo of what it looked last time. This blooming should be nicer, actually. This is another one that will go into that cabinet over there. Since it is a Rex hybrid, all of that group will be in a single location. What else is interesting? I've got this Pingicula that I've had for a bunch of years, and it's just this monster of a plant, and it's totally outgrown what it's in now. And I meant to pot it up this spring and then forgot. Check out this Bulbophyllum fascinator. There you can see this is a division that I got I think about a year ago, actually, and I attached it to this clay sort of weeping pot that's intentionally meant to slowly ooze water out. And my friend Charles made this, and it's worked really well, actually. This is the first time that I've seen a flower coming from it. So and you can see that it's just growing around. Actually, I can probably take this zip tie off here, and then you can see it's got new growths here, and there's roots, and they're growing into the moss, and it just seems to be doing really, really well. What's interesting is this flower is just starting to open. In fact, I just noticed that it's open today, so hopefully in the next day or 2 it will elongate and become even more interesting. Let's see if I can get a front shot here. And of course, bulbophyllums are, well, these ones can be pretty colorful, and you can see they have these tassels here on the sides that will move in the wind. And when this opens up a bit more, that lip is on a hinge, and that will flap in the wind. In fact, the hinged lip is the defining characteristic of bulbophyllums, or at least one of their defining characteristics. I also have this Dowiana that is just going crazy. You can see it just absolutely loves terrarium life or cabinet life. And this will obviously also make its way over to the next cabinet. I'm gonna have to repot this thing. So it's in a net pot that's inside of a plastic pot. And I'm gonna have to separate these two somehow. So what I'm gonna do is I'll soak them, and then figure out, once I separate them, I'll probably just pop it into a larger pot and just leave it. there's a good chance I'll make a video since I'm not entirely sure what I want to do with it, besides putting it in that new cabinet, but we'll see. I have a Ludomaniana Con color in here, and this is sort of a hospital tent for it right now. It just put out this new growth with new roots, so I expect the next growth will be a full-size one, and it should be really, really nice. Very unusual color variety. Almost no one has it. I don't think I've ever seen one in the United States. Some smaller Restrepias that I'm kind of experimenting with. This is a Restrepia here, a Comperetia here, and then another Restrepia back there. And then this is Laelia harpophylla. This is a Rupiculus cattleya that is not rupiculus. So this one is actually one that does grow on trees in Brazil and is of the same lineage of those that do grow on rocks. But the flowers are just gorgeous. I'm bright, bright, bright orange. I'm really excited to see that one bloom. Hopefully this year I can see a little sheath here and a little sheath here. And then this tall new growth here, putting out new roots. I think that's the name of the game for this cabinet is just the sheer number of roots is makes me very happy. In fact, this one here, this is that division of that mixta that I got. You can see new growth here, new growth here. There's another new growth here, and you can see a giant fat new root starting right there. And so all is well in the orchid cabinet. And that's the more interesting version of what's in here. I hope everyone's having a good weekend, and you can bet that I will make another video, another update video of not only this cabinet, but also of the new cabinet that I just set up, and I will have populated with this plant and several others. I hope you're having a great weekend. Bye.